Thank you, everybody, thank you. As you all know, something needs to be done about the radical left, and we are the ones to do it. Now, of course, it should come as no surprise to anybody that this movement's first course of action should be... something progress. Yeah, but what else exactly would be done? I really that doesn't make any
sense. Could you guys let us out?
No. You're an evil rat.
Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for.
How's it hanging, guys? If you know anything about national politics, or really anything about what's happening in the US at all, you know that we, along with the rest of the world, are pretty divided into two basic camps.
Fighting out of the blue corner. They're radically left-wing. They're the mass immigrating, child-sacrificing, genital mutilating, root-and-tutilating faction we affectionately call the Globo-Homo-Libtard Menace. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, they stand for... they sure know they don't like their opponent. Give it up for the other political faction.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, we don't have a very organized, and consequently a very effective right wing at all. And that makes for a movement that really sucks at winning. So today, I'm going to explain why having such an amorphous and big tent right wing is a terrible strategy to save this country.
Well, that makes for a pretty grim video, Mr. Whiteboy. Just talking about how much the right wing sucks and how incompetent it is.
And that's why, in part 2, I'm going to be going over how we can fix this problem and turn our movement from Glass Joe into a real Rocky Balboa. Let's get a move on.
What do I stand for? What do I stand?
The story of the modern era is a tale as old as time. And by as old as time, I mean about as old as the turn of the 20th century. What always happens is left-leaning progressives heavy-handedly install communist/Marxist values onto society until society eventually submits to their demands. All while conservatives fail to conserve anything and keep on moving the goalposts further and further back until their values are essentially the same as the communists they claim to oppose. Think of it this way, the left is the Harlem Globetrotters, and the right are the Washington Generals. The left wins every time because the script says so, and the right just flounders around aimlessly with no real goal at all other than to fundraise on the basis that they aren't the left, I guess. What this pretty much means is that if you're on the right wing, you're essentially showing up to a Globetrotters game wearing a Washington Generals jersey. And everybody knows only retarded people show up to a Globetrotters game wearing a Generals jersey. So how did this happen? How did wanting to conserve traditional American values become the equivalent of rooting for the Washington Generals? Well, that would be our good friend, right-wing cowardice. Rhino congresspeople like Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell aren't actually right-wing at all. They're just meant to feign opposition to the Democrats because they actually all have the same goals and are in bed together. They make all these based and epic promises, and then completely ignore all of that when there's actually time for them to act. Authentically right-wing people really don't have any political organization to get behind at all. That's why the right has largely been focusing on fighting cultural battles as opposed to political ones recently. And believe me, we've had our fair share of success. While these cultural victories are great, they are not going to win us back our country by themselves. There's a lot more that goes on in retaking a country than just boycotting a beer company. And that is for one very specific reason.
Most nights I don't know.
This one thing is often viewed as the right wing's biggest strength, but it actually happens to be the right's biggest weakness. And what I'm talking about is the actual people and opinions that make up the current quote-unquote right wing. In the last 10-ish years especially, the right has been predominantly defined by what it opposes. People like Tim Pool cite this fact all the time, essentially saying that all anti-left-wing people are united into one freedom faction of people who are vehemently against the overt communism and progressivism of the left, making a sort of patchwork quilt made up of people of entirely different political persuasions that are all united by their disapproval of the current regime. On its face, sounds pretty good, right? A bunch of people setting aside their differences in order to stand up to the evil empire. It's literally Marvel mixed with Star Wars, man. Like, imagine if Captain America became a Jedi to fight the Empire. Oh my gosh, man, it's just like that. It's just like that. Whoa. Sorry guys, I got caught up in the based and epic team up that everybody was having on the right wing. It was just so epic. But the cracks in this epic and awesome team-up quilt really start to show once you zoom out a little bit. Once you zoom out and ask one simple question, which is, what's the plan when we win? Mr. Poole, do you have any idea? Any idea at all what we're gonna do when we actually win? No? Nothing at all? Okay. All right. No, hey, that's to each their own. That's fine. But you guys get my point, right? There's literally no unified goal. All these disparate groups on the right wing, all these different disaffected liberals and conservatives, and all these different groups, we don't have a unified goal that we're going towards at all. So what does this mean? Well, when a group can't agree on even their most basic tenets, like what they're fighting for, or what their base most common beliefs are, it makes for a pretty ineffective movement. Being united in opposition to something is not at all the same as being united in support of something. The only thing we can agree on right now is what we want to destroy, but we have no agreement on what we want to replace that destroyed system with. We really have no chance of destroying that current system at all if that's our mindset.
What do I stand for? What do I stand?
What originally inspired me to make this video was an episode of Timcast IRL featuring Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon of Akkad. On this show, Carl mentioned how the right wing is great at recognizing what they don't like, but have no unified goal to reach, or plans to reach any goals at all, really. And he's absolutely right. The comparison he made was to the current illegal immigrant crisis in New York City. Oh, sorry, that's my mistake there. You know what? That's more accurate anyways. Sue me. Everyone on the right can agree that what's happening in New York City is a crisis, but we don't have a unified and actionable plan that we can follow to actually retake the city. And this realization spans the entire disparate right-wing movement. We all can agree that the current situation is bad, but our ideas on how to fix it or our visions for the future are so drastically different that there's no way we can muster an effective political counter to these left-wing idiots. Some people want to deport all illegals, and others will tell you straight to your face that they don't care about the browning of America. And some people just think that NYC is a lost cause, and that we should worry about other things entirely. One issue, three entirely different solutions. It's unsustainable, and it's the reason why we lose. For a brief moment, the right wing and the GOP were all united behind Trump. But then, of course, the Don was sabotaged by his own party and cabinet multiple times because, again, none of us agree on anything other than not liking the left. It simply can't continue like this. I don't know what else to tell you.
Most nights I don't know.
So what can we do about this? Well, you guys are going to be really happy to know that I have plenty of ideas all lined up and ready to go for the next video. When that will be? Listen guys, it takes a while to edit these things, and I know it's deceivingly simple looking how easy these drawings are, but it takes me a minute, okay? The right wing needs a comprehensive platform, and by golly, Based Whiteboy is gonna give it to him.
Warning, these ideas are not final or set in stone. They are meant to get the ball rolling and give us a basic skeleton of a platform. Based Whiteboy is not a politician and can accept no responsibilities if some ideas aren't great. He is a bit retarded.
So stay tuned for part 2, gang. It's gonna be epic. Best video ever, I guarantee it. Based Whiteboy, promise. Until then, I'm Based Whiteboy, and thank you guys for watching.